Everybody.
Okay, red light's on. Everybody ready? The November 11th, 2025 School Board Regular Meeting is called to order. Ms. Tresky, please call the roll.
Mr. Cherry. Mr. Link.
Here.
Dr. Jamison.
Here.
Ms. Quintana.
Here.
Ms. Trigg.
Here.
Mrs. Watkins.
Here.
Mrs. Apel.
Here. Thank you to all of those attending the meeting in person and those that are joining us via the RCPS YouTube channel this evening. On to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trigg, seconded by Ms. Watkins. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. The agenda is approved. Moving on to our moment of silence and pledge to the flag. Please keep the following in your thoughts. Family and friends of Dr. E. Wayne Harris, former superintendent, on the loss of his mother. Family, friends, and coworkers of Doris Lindsay, the building manager of William B. Robertson Administration Building, on the loss of her brother. Family, friends, and coworkers of Alice Rowan, an operations team member at Patrick Henry, on the loss of her brother. Family, friends, and coworkers of Brenda Chastain, records assistant, on the passing of her mother. And let us all remember, Veterans Day is a time to reflect on the courage and selflessness of those who have served in our armed forces. Let's take a moment to pause to honor the service and sacrifice of our veterans and to keep these other members of our community in our thoughts. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And on to the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to recognitions. The Association of School Business Officials, or ASBO, International's Meritorious Budget Award, promotes and recognizes best practices in school division budget presentation, ensuring accuracy, transparency, and accountability in school budgeting. Roanoke City Public Schools has proudly earned this distinction for the 8th consecutive year, demonstrating a sustained commitment to excellence in financial reporting and public trust. To achieve the MBA, the Meritorious Budget Award, school divisions submit their budget documents to a panel of independent school finance professionals. These experts evaluate submissions using ASBO's criteria checklist, which includes rigorous standards for clarity, completeness, and alignment with best practices. Evaluators provide detailed feedback, enabling districts to continuously improve their budget documents and ensure they meet the award's stringent criteria. ASBO International is a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing the highest standards in school finance and operations. Their programs help districts build stronger financial systems and foster community confidence. In the 2024-2025 award cycle, just 15 school divisions in Virginia earned the Meritorious Budget Award, highlighting RCPS's leadership among its peers. Internationally, about 140 school divisions worldwide received the award, placing RCPS among a select group of globally recognized districts. The school board extends its sincerest appreciation and congratulates the accounting team on receiving this outstanding award. They are represented by Kathleen Jackson, Chief Financial Officer, Donna Caldwell, Director of Accounting, Tammy Manning, Coordinator of Budgets and Special Projects, Alan Haggerty, Accountant, Tanisha Scales, Accountant, Shantae Nimley, Junior Accountant. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations again. And again.
Best finance team in the
That's a lovely frame, by the way.
one up here.
Where do you want their picture?
Right here? Okay, so. Can you squeeze in? Oh, we're in it too.
I'll get in the back.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Very good.
Twelve in the state?
Out of, I think, what, 200 divisions? 132. And what I would say well-deserved, but well-earned, so. All right. Moving on to VSBA, Take Your Legislator to School Month. Ms. Watkins, can you please tell us about the VSBA Take Your Legislator to School Month?
Absolutely. November is VSBA Take Your Legislator to School Month in an effort to promote a closer relationship between public education and the Virginia State Legislature. The Virginia School Boards Association urges each school division in the state to invite at least one of their state legislators to engage with their schools during the month of November. There are many benefits from participating in VSBA Take Your Legislator to School Month, including developing closer relationships between school divisions, local communities, and our elected officials, and creating opportunities for productive dialogue so that educational and political leaders can work together to ensure that we provide the best possible education for our students.
Thank you very much, Ms. Watkins. And when we look at future events later, we'll also mention some more about this particular initiative by VSBA. On to our future featured school. Mr. Freeman, would you like to come forward and introduce our featured school for tonight?
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, the members of the school board, student representatives, and Dr. White. Tonight, the William Fleming High School Colonels are in the house, and I do believe Mrs. Anderson is here to represent with a team of individuals to show some information regarding William Fleming High School. Mrs. Anderson?
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, student representatives, and Superintendent Dr. White, and other members of the executive staff. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to represent the Colonels tonight. We have a lot to celebrate. While we have only been in school for 9 weeks, we still are going to celebrate. Our goal for this year has been to build stronger teams with inclusive support while sustaining a positive school culture. How do we do that? Well, first and foremost, when I began working on this presentation, we still had one opening. I can say to you tonight, we are fully staffed. Here, we have decreased our overall suspension days. This time last year, we were at 415 days. Now we are at 252 days, a reduction of 39%. That is a team effort. We rely on restorative practices and also counseling in the building. We are very happy to have LifeBridge counseling with us and working with the students and staff at William Fleming. We were very fortunate this year that you all saw fit to add 5 additional EL teaching positions. And so, as you know, we have a very large EL population, over 500 students. And so with those additional teaching positions, this allows us to have staff, certified teachers, go with those students to Forest Park Academy, to Noel C. Taylor, to Day Tech, and also allows us to have an after-school program. To support those students, we have also created an EL administrative team so that we can make sure that they are getting the supports that we need. We also created an EL administrator, again, to support all of our students. I am so proud that last year we retained 82% of our staff. We lost one administrator, but we were able to fill that position from within. So yes, we have a lot to celebrate. For our academic highlights, we are very proud that we are closing the achievement gap, but we still know we have some work to do. So we looked at last year's data, and something that teachers have wanted for a number of years is common planning time. So in our SOL tested content areas, those teachers have common planning, and they can work with each other, and they can look at those high yield instructional strategies to make sure that we're supporting all students. I'm very excited about our math space curriculum, and we have a math coach that meets with our teachers every other week to make sure that we're putting those high yield instructional strategies in place, and we can do things like peer observations. So that's another level of support. This year, we have Read 180. So we are able to work with our small group population, and we are able to work with students one-on-one to support those reading deficits. Now, again, we look at all data, and we know we've got some work to do, especially with our EL graduation rate. And so tonight, I brought some of our students because I don't want you to look at a number and think that this represents what William Fleming is, because we have a lot of students in the building that are doing the right thing and making great decisions. And so I wanted them to talk with you tonight. And so that comes with our student life and our engagement. So at this time, I'm going to bring members of our SCA on.
Hello, everyone, and members of the school board. My name is Kayla Robinson, and I'm your Student Council Association President and Senior at William Fleming High School. The SCA makes it our goal to create a diverse and engaging community through all of our events throughout the school year. For example, at our latest pep rally during homecoming week, we featured a student who performed a rap for the entire school to showcase his Colonel pride. We also love starting new traditions, like our annual Colonel Fest, which is similar to Field Day, but gives students a time to enjoy time outside the classroom while celebrating the end of the year together. Another one of our favorite events to plan is our senior versus faculty basketball game. It is another fun way for students to cheer on their favorite teachers and seniors and build a stronger connection within our school's community. All of these events showcase how much students can accomplish when given the opportunity to lead, connect, and celebrate one another. Thank you for supporting this program and letting our students' voices be heard. Now I will let Angie, one of our SCA representatives, take the floor. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angelique Cervantes Alonso. I am an active member of William Fleming's Student Council Association. Our association is more than a group that plans events. It's the heart of our school spirit. Through pep rallies, dances, service projects, and celebrations, SCA creates opportunities for every student to get involved, connect, and make many memories together. We work very hard to make sure that every event reflects you. SCA honors our school's past traditions, celebrates the present, and paves the way for students to continue our legacy. Every time we come together, whether it's cheering at a game, decorating for homecoming, or volunteering in the community, our bond strengthens our school's past, present, and future. So let's keep building these connections, keep participating, and keep making memories together. We make our school a place where every student belongs and every memory matters. Thank you.
My final group for tonight, our Spanish club that has grown from 25 members to over 100 members.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the Roanoke City School Board. My name is Camila Moctezuma Carrizales. I am a senior at William Fleming High School and president of Spanish Club. 4 years ago, Spanish Club had only 25 members. This year has substantially grown to 125. The Spanish Club at William Fleming is dedicated to a variety of goals, which are Spanish language practice, cultural awareness, community engagement, academic support, networking, and leadership development.
Yes.
Good evening, members of the Roanoke City School Board. My name is Marilyn Alvarado Diaz. I'm a senior at William Fleming High School and part of the executive team of Spanish Club. Spanish Club proudly collaborates with several community partners such as Blue Ridge Behavioral Health, Carillion Hospital, TILA, Latinos Network, Grandin Theater, and many others. Our continued success is made possible by the strong support of our school, Principal Ms. Anderson, and our mentors.
Thank you.
Members of the Roanoke City School Board. My name is Ariel Nolasco Cedillo, a junior and part of the executive team for Spanish Club. Members of the school board, just this year we've donated capes to Carillion Hospital to be given to children undergoing surgery or medical illness. We've made hygiene kits for the organization TILA to benefit our homeless population and had another successful Culture Day event. We respectfully ask you to consider allocating funds to school clubs such as the Spanish Club so that we can continue to grow and thrive.
In these difficult times for the Hispanic community, representation matters now more than ever. Spanish Club has become a crucial organization for our community and overall wellness for our students. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to collaborating together.
Thank you.
And for showcasing William Fleming High School.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Anderson, and students for that presentation. Ms. Mitzel, picture time.
Wonderful job. Good job, everyone.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That was excellent.
And good luck Friday. We'll mention it later too, but. Now, let's continue with the personnel list. Is there a motion and a second to approve the personnel list as presented?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Quintana. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Jameson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. The personnel list is approved. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Moved. Second.
Moved by Dr. Jameson, seconded by Ms. Watkins. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Hearing none, the motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. And Ms. Watkins, your favorite part, please tell us about the gifts that have been received by RCPS.
Absolutely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The board accepts with gratitude the following large donation. The Roanoke Law Foundation provided a donation of $2,000 to the resource room at the Community Empowerment Center. Thank you so much to the Roanoke Law Foundation and all of our community partners. We appreciate you all so much. And if there's anyone else who wants to partner with us, we are ready. We're available. Just give us a call.
Yes,
open
and if
arms.
you haven't noticed, it's cold out there. I've heard just today that requests over at the Community Empowerment Center really ramped up this week with the weather. So, for example, coats, warm things like that. So I'm sure you can call Ms. Cornegay over at the front office at the CEC and find out what the community is reaching out for. Moving on.
You know, there was a time that we worried about whether or not we would get donations. And I smile in my soul every time I see someone who is partnering with us or giving of their time, energy, clothing, money, and it's every board meeting. I'm so excited about that. Thank you, community.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Watkins. On to citizen participation on agenda and non-agenda items. Ms. Watkins, do we have any signups for agenda or non-agenda items this evening?
We do. We have 2 speakers, and they are non-agenda items. Can I go ahead?
Are they present?
I don't
Let's
know.
check,
Are our 2
check if they're
speakers-
present before we.
No. No? Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, Seeing as our speakers who have signed up are not present, we will move on to the next agenda item. But I do always want to thank our community and stakeholders for when they do take the time to speak to us. We value the feedback of our community, and public input is important when we make decisions on behalf of all students in Roanoke City Public Schools. So on to the superintendent report. Dr. White, please provide us your updates.
Wonderful, thank you. And good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school board, and student representatives. This evening, we are bringing forward items for your information and consideration, including approval of the revised RCPS literacy plan, an update on our capital improvement plan, and an update on the boundary study. Before we get to our agenda, I would like to highlight a few items for the board and for the public's information. First, I would like to wish Happy Veterans Day to all of the veterans in our RCPS family, in our community, and across the nation. I'm so proud to come from a family of veterans. My father and my brother both served in the Navy. My father served in World War II. My brother served in the Vietnam War, and I'm just very, very proud. It's also important that we recognize the family members of our veterans as well, because the sacrifice extends beyond the veterans. So I just want to say thank you for your service and recognize the service made by our veterans and their families. And in honor of Veterans Day, several of our high school choir students joined me in a special video message that aired this morning. In addition, students across the division made cards, which we delivered to the VA hospital yesterday with many members of our community builders. So lots of our student leaders in the Community Builders program, they went with me to the VA hospital. And let's take a look at a quick video and some photos from yesterday. Hello, everyone, and happy Veterans Day. Today, I'm honored to be joined by members of our high school choirs as we share a special message for the veterans in our Roanoke City Public Schools family throughout the community and across the nation. You know, my father proudly served in the Navy during World War II, and my brother also served in the Navy during the Vietnam War. I'm so proud of their service, and I'm deeply appreciative of the sacrifices made not only by our veterans, but also by their families. It's our pleasure to present this special Veterans Day performance of America the Beautiful by Madden Cannon and Elizabeth Tolliver of William Fleming High School, and Archer Eads and Callan Johnson of Patrick Henry High School. On behalf of all of us at Roanoke City Public Schools, we want to express our gratitude to every service member, past and present, for your dedication, courage, and service to our country. This performance is a small way for us to say thank you.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crowned thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
And you can see here some of our photos from the VA hospital yesterday, and I can say that this was a remarkable experience. And many of our students learned a lot about our veterans, and our veterans were deeply moved and touched by our young people and their willingness to say thank you, many of whom were overwhelmed and overcome with tears. And so there were tears on both sides, but good tears. And so I think it's important for us to teach our young people that sense of gratitude and how to show respect and dedication to those who have served. So again, I want to thank our fine arts team. I want to thank our elementary students who made all those cards, some of our middle school students as well, our community builders, our communications team, for helping us recognize our veterans. So let's give them another round of applause. We are also so proud that both of our football teams will be playing in the Region C quarterfinals on Friday. So congratulations to our Patrick Henry Patriots, who completed the regular season undefeated and are the #1 seed.
Yes.
Also, congratulations to our William Fleming Colonels, who are the #3 seed.
All right.
Both teams will be playing on this Friday at 7 o'clock at their home stadiums, and you can visit our social media pages for more information on how to buy tickets. I also want to take a moment to encourage you to join your school's PTA if you haven't already done so. So if you are a parent or a staff member or a student, keep in mind that joining your school's PTA is a powerful way to make a difference in your child's education through advocacy and engagement. And we're incredibly proud of our PTA members across the city, and so much so that the Virginia PTA recently shared with me how impressed they are with the strength and dedication of our Roanoke City Public Schools PTA and all that they're doing. And so if you haven't, again, already, please reach out to your child's school to learn more about the opportunities for involvement. I know that it can be a little intimidating at first, but I promise you, our schools will bring you into the fold, our PTA members will bring you into the fold as well, and make that an easy way for you to participate in whatever way feels comfortable for you. And if your school's PTA isn't currently active, your principal can help you take the first steps in getting that PTA up and running. So again, thanks again to our PTA. And lastly, I do want to keep you updated and let you know that we are still waiting for more information regarding the release of the student support, the school support and performance framework data. As I've shared before, we were expecting to receive that data in October from the VDOE, but the Virginia Department of Education postponed its release. They had several things that they still needed to do, so they have not released that data yet. So we're still waiting for more details on their updated timeline, and we will share all of that with you. As soon as we know more, we will share that with you. So getting into the agenda tonight, into our report. To begin our report, I will ask Dr. Cindy Williams, our Chief Academics and Accountability Officer, and Dr. Wendy Durham, our Executive Director of Academics, to present the revised RCPS literacy plan for your consideration. So, Dr. Williams.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, student representatives, and Dr. White. The Virginia Literacy Act, passed in 2022 and expanded in 2023, represents a significant step toward improving reading outcomes for all students across the Commonwealth. As part of this work, each school division developed a division literacy plan, which is a roadmap for implementing evidence-based literacy instruction grounded in the science of reading. Our plan addresses key areas, including core instruction, professional learning, and high-quality instructional materials, screening and intervention supports, and family engagement. The plan was presented and approved by the school board on June 25th, 2024. After board approval, the plan was submitted to the Virginia Department of Education and the Virginia Literacy Partnership. After revisions to our plan was made and we did a curriculum review, we adopted a K-5 core curriculum titled Imagine Learning. The 2025-2026 and 2026-27 school years will serve as years 1 and year 2 of the biennial plan, allowing us to implement, monitor, and refine our literacy efforts. Through this work, we will continue to strengthen literacy instruction and ensure that every student builds a strong foundation for success. Dr. Durham, Executive Director of Literacy, Academics, and Targeted School Improvement, will present the revised plan for approval as we begin year 1 of the implementation.
Good evening, Madam Chair Appel and members of the board, student representatives, and Dr. White. On October 16th, 2025, we received notification that the Virginia Department of Education confirmed that our biennial division literacy plan aligns with the literacy requirements outlined in the Code of Virginia. Additionally, our plan includes components that go beyond those requirements, so we're very proud of that as well. As part of the review process, we were asked to make 2 revisions. Those are outlined for you on Section 4, page 10. We added a column identifying the staff responsible for administering each literacy assessment. And on in Section 6 on page 12, we included a sentence that added a link to our webpage listing the division level points of contact for literacy. The next step for our plan is that it's to be reviewed by you, the board, and approved. And upon your approval, Dr. White will sign the plan. Once it's signed, we will update it in our division literacy plan link on our division website. We do not have to resubmit because we are good to go. So I'm very proud of the work that we have done there. So thank you very much. And at this time, it's recommended that Roanoke City Public School Board approve the biennial division literacy plan as presented. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions from the board?
Ma'am.
Over here. All right. Is there a motion and a second to approve the revised 2025-2027 comprehensive literacy plan as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Watkins, seconded by Ms. Quintana. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. And the motion carries. The revised 2025-2027 RCPS literacy plan is approved.
All
Thank
right
you.
now. Thank y'all.
I know that was a lot of work.
A lot of work, a long
Yes.
journey. So hats off to the academics team. Again, they have gone above and beyond to make sure that we have a very tight, thorough, and comprehensive literacy plan to benefit every student in Roanoke City Public Schools. You know how I feel about literacy, that literacy undergirds every other content area and it's the foundation for everything. So we are focused, staying focused on literacy, and it's due to this team. So just hats off to the team. So thanks again. And I'd like to ask our Chief Operations Officer, Chris Perkins, to come forward to present an update on our capital improvement plan, including the ongoing construction of Preston Park Elementary School, as well as present an update on the boundary study. So, Mr. Perkins.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to bring you an update on our major projects that we have going. Let's start first with Preston Park Elementary. The good news is we are 95% complete with the external building structure. That is good because going into winter, that allows us to maybe catch up where the bad news is we're about 6 weeks behind due to the spring and summer rains that we had. We think we can still bring this on time, talking with our contractor, so we're very optimistic that Preston Park will open on time. Next, I want to update you on our capital development initiative. Keep in mind that our capital development initiative involves capital maintenance. We don't defer our maintenance in Roanoke City Public Schools because we have buildings that are 100 years old, and if we deferred maintenance, that would not be a good thing because those buildings would fall down. So a testament to the maintenance that we do. It's also part of our capital improvements that we do. We have also changed our entire system approximately 4 years ago. To refresh everybody's memory, we now have a needs-based assessment where we prioritize projects, so we ensure that every school has the opportunity to have its maintenance and its capital improvement projects reviewed, scored, and ranked so that we are equitable in how we hand out those projects and how we spend the city's money. And we're very appreciative of the city for giving us that $5 million that we pay debt on. So we have an agreement with them for that. This year, for fiscal year 27, we have 16 school submissions. Those involve 24 projects. Currently, we're estimating about a little over $1 million for those projects, and some of those estimates are still pending. This is on top of previous submissions and our capital plan. If you remember, Councilman Best Pitch many years ago asked us to move to a 10-year capital plan that helps the city plan and helps us plan as well. So we provide a 10-year plan that has about 38.8 million. Keep in mind that our solar projects are saving over the next several years millions of dollars of taxpayer money. We also have about 7.1 million in capital maintenance projects that we're still working on. None of this includes the high school overcrowding costs. I understand that the city manager has removed a request for accounted for fund balance to pay for that. So we're waiting on the city to approve that for trailers to add to assist in the overcrowding for that. So hopefully we can get that in front of the city council as soon as possible. Moving forward, speaking of the trailers, this is to help relieve overcrowding in our schools. I want to give a caveat before I go into the details with this, but this is indeed related. We have, or will be dependent upon, school-based staff review also. We've met with the principals. They are reviewing what I am showing you tonight. We've also met with our architects and our engineers. The first option that we have for you is William Fleming. The things that we're trying to consider is, first and foremost, cost. We want to make sure that we have utility connections on the sites that were presented or that we're presenting to you tonight. We also want to make sure that we have proximity to the school so we can have a safe environment. Remember, and speaking from a safety perspective, trailers are not the safest way to run a school. So in order to relieve the overcrowding, it's what we have to deal with. So we want to make sure we have close proximity to our campuses and our buildings itself. And then last, the aesthetics. We are placing trailers in areas. If you look at the first option here, this is the first option. This is actually the band field at William Fleming. If you drive north on Ferncliff, you can see this from Ferncliff. Aesthetically, it's not very pleasing, to be frank. The school-based team has pointed that out. However, that is the site of the old cafeteria when we had the old campus structure there. And so there are nice utility hookups there, and it is in close proximity to the building itself for safety reasons. But aesthetically, it is not pleasing, but it is an option. The second option is the back field. It is close proximity to the school. It provides some safety in that it is behind a school. It is more controllable. It also has utility hookups that we need. But there is a drawback here. From an athletic perspective, that field is heavily used. So we want to be cognizant of that. We have our athletic facilities and practice fields, bar none, are Division II level. So we're very proud of that, thanks to our school board to recognize that athletics goes along with education. While education is our most important role, that athletics helps support that as well. That field is used not just for athletics, though. It's used for band. It is used for activities outside the school. So there's a lot of things back there. So that is a con to that site. But the school-based teams will have the opportunity to talk with the engineers and the architects and review that. Moving to Patrick Henry. I was speaking with the architects and engineers today, and one of the architects made the comment, our point about expanding at Patrick Henry, is really punctuated by us trying to find a site for modulars. That is a tight campus. And unless you want to move Shrine Hill, which is very expensive, we have to give up something at that campus. And there is not a good site that's perfect for this school, talking with the school-based staff. So the first site you're seeing here, if you come out the cafeteria to the senior plaza out the back, just south of the high school or the stadium and east of the back wing of the school, that is an irrigated field that actually has not just practices, but games played on it, because remember, we're tight already at William Fleming. But that is an option. There are good utility connections there. It is in close proximity, and from a safety perspective, we can control that area pretty well. The next opportunity is a little more expensive fiscally. That would be to raise the old Raleigh Court, which we have asked the city to take back because it's no longer educational useful for us. But we are working through trying to do that. That would be an option. We could also look at the band field there. There are connections close by. The drawback to this site, it's not safe. It's a distance. It's actually past the Gov School, past Rotec, and it would be butted up to the TAP Center there at that location. Not ideal, and fiscally a little difficult because we'd have to raise the existing school there to put in the trailers to fund that. And we'd have to fund that. We have requested of a budget approximately $4.1 to $5.1 million, so about $4.6 million to do that. And then we've got an annual maintenance that we're estimating about $1.5 million for those sites. There is not a great site. William Fleming is in better shape than Patrick Henry, but those are the options that we're reviewing. Today, after speaking with some school-based staff, we are looking at another option that I will run by the architects and the engineers to see if that at Patrick Henry might work. But that would require giving up something else, but I want to make sure I get an answer before I present that to the board. I'm going to pause here because the next topic is going to get into the boundaries, and so I want to make sure that I give you the opportunity to ask some questions about what you've heard so far.
I'll go ahead and start with Ms. Trigg. Do you have any questions for Mr. Perkins at this time?
Actually, I was looking, I remember Blenheim used to be open the way Patrick Henry used to be, so much more space. We didn't look at it then to say when we closed off these streets, the only thing that popped through my mind is when I was in Patrick Henry, it was the space was there. Now it's tight. But thank you. There's a lot of work out there.
Ms. Quintana?
The only question I have is either option for PH, because they are the Title I, gonna be less of a hassle with the community?
So we already are under operational proffers at PH when it comes to our activities off of Blenheim and off of Guilford. We would have to review that, of course. Anything that we add to that campus is going to create more congestion. And I'm speaking from a construction perspective. Then we start we're actually crowding the campus more. So from a control perspective, our staff is going to be at a lot of places. At both schools, but more so depending on the location at Patrick Henry, it could be very problematic for how we secure and monitor, for instance, class changes, how we monitor the campus for people coming onto the campus that aren't supposed to be there. There is going to be extra costs with fencing and things like that to address this. So I anticipate that all of those things will come in, and this is going to be this is not going to be an easy process, and it is going to be time consuming to carry this out. And we want it to be a temporary fix, but operationally and speaking, to the proffers and all that, we're going to give up a lot just to get us over the hump to decide whether we're going to fund a third high school or an expansion of the current high schools.
Thank you for that.
And my apologies. I wanted to make sure that our students who attend these schools have a chance to weigh in. Mr. Wade, any comments or anything you've heard from other?
I've seen it for a while that it's need to be done. Like that type of thing is needed to be done. I don't like it in the when you were talking about putting the trailers in that first, like where the practices, like that front area. I feel like that would look ugly, but I feel like closer to the back would make more sense because it's a lot more room back there, and I feel like in the front people use that to walk to day tech too. So in the back, a lot of people don't really use that like walking space except for like extracurriculars like sports, that type of thing. But I feel like the front is more frequently used. So I would say that.
Your principal would be very proud of you because that's one of the things. I think she would mind if I said that.
And Mr. Lopez Ortiz.
Yeah. Yes, I actually do have a question regarding
the picture right here, if that were to be done, would, because there's like a daycare right next to it, right?
It's a TAP Head Start, yes.
That, would that be an issue?
No, it would not, because we would secure that area around that, and we have a good agreement and a good working relationship with TAP. So we don't think that would be an issue.
And what about the park? There's a park near it, right?
Shrine Hill Park, yes.
Yes. Is that something that would like maybe violate any like city council guidelines?
No, we would not encroach on that park. It is heavily used for pickleball and tennis.
Right.
So we would not want to start that. We got enough battles right now. We don't need a pickleball battle.
No mess with pickleball.
Those were excellent questions. Did you have, I did not need to interrupt.
No, that was all.
Thank you. Mr. Link.
I'll index for the record. I was also worried about
Pickleball?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, pickleball.
Yeah.
Me too, man.
the impact on our zoning proffers. You already answered Ms. Quintana's question.
Yeah, we are going to have to address those operational proffers. I've spoken with the school board attorney about this. Anything we do on that campus, we need to address that, because operational proffers are very difficult to meet. We've got to replant shrubbery, trees, I'll give you an example of a real drawback. If we go into overtime in the playoffs this Friday night and it goes past a certain time, we have to stop that game and reschedule it for Saturday morning because of those operational proffers. We can't
Because of the impact of the school on the surrounding neighborhood.
on the surrounding neighborhood, yes. That was one of the agreements when Victory Stadium was closed and we agreed to build stadiums at each school. One of the agreements for that neighborhood was to have those operational proffers imposed on Patrick Henry.
So because of the noise?
It's noise, it's traffic, it's activities, it's the amplified sound from, there's 10 proffers that we have to meet. We have to visually close off the school using white pines. They have to be of a certain height. If they die, we have to have an arborist, and we have an arborist, thank goodness. We have to have all this done by September of every year. I have to write a letter to the Planning Commission explaining that we have met those proffers, so.
Fun times.
Yes.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
In the eventuality in that we have a third high school and the enrollment at Patrick Henry right sizes itself to the infrastructure that we have there, is there the chance that we could see some relief on some of those properties?
We would have to petition the Planning Commission to
Yeah, sure.
look at those operational proffers again. Any change to the zoning for that, like through an input process or something like that, we could address it, but we'd have to ask, and I think, Mr. Collins, you correct me, but we'd have to request that if we didn't, if we did build a third high school, it'd be a little different because there would be no activity on the site of the school, correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Link. Dr. Jameson.
Yeah, no, mine is just, given that the request for appropriation to council has been pulled for this next meeting, how long do we need lead time to get whatever this is decided in place and up and running so that they're operational for the next school year? What's the latest date that we can afford to have money?
We can't afford any more delays. We really need to get moving.
Are we past that date?
We're getting real close. Right now, in the meeting with the architects and engineers, if we don't have some resolution pretty quick about, what the process we have to go through, we're going to be pushing up, and it may be January before I can give you a solid that we can actually be in those trailers. We're behind the 8 ball right now.
I just want to say a little reminder, in our last meeting, Chris was very clear and said that we were already late. In our last meeting, he said we were already late to start this.
Yeah, we're up. We've got a time crunch here.
All right. Thank you for that question, Dr. Jameson. Ms. Watkins?
Dr. Jameson asked my questions But I have a piggyback follow-up on
She had an
that.
extra one just in case.
I have another one in my hip pocket. We are always asking, what do you need from us, the board? Is it time for us to reach out to our council buddies?
We need to relieve overcrowding. And I think I reported last time that we had 8 teachers on a cart at William Fleming. So I asked Ms. Anderson that question again today. She's up to 10 teachers on a cart.
Okay, that's my answer. My answer is yes.
Yeah, we need to address overcrowding at the schools,
Yeah.
not just from an academic perspective, from a safety perspective. When you're in the hallways, just go to our cafeteria.
Right.
We're running lunches from 10:30 to 2.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult when you've got to spread out over that. It's staff management, it's the academic classrooms. We have some classes have over 30 kids in it.
Okay.
And that is difficult from a teaching perspective. I'm not a teacher, but I've been around teachers enough to know that that's not conducive to good education when you have classrooms with that many kids in it. So,
Okay. I understand the assignment. Thank you very much.
And I did want to note regarding the next council meeting is November 17th, which is this upcoming Monday. And I do not believe the agenda has yet been posted, but it is pending. And today was a holiday for the city, so there was no further progress one way or the other regarding that. But Mr. Collins, is that accurate? The agenda for city council will be posted?
That's correct. It should be posted on Thursday.
All right. So we'll be watching all future agendas for city council meetings just to see the status of that appropriation request. And thank you again for the information about the cost, both the startup cost and then those ongoing sunk costs for the upkeep of those trailers. I did have some other questions that I've heard fielded in the community about the trailers. I know that you've addressed them before, but one of them was, can you recall for us the number of trailers you were talking about at PH and at Fleming?
yes, so we'll need, we're estimating 10 units of at least 2 classrooms in each unit. At PH, we need 8 units. At Fleming with at least 2 classrooms, because when you look at the numbers to try to relieve the overcrowding, we need to relieve approximately 400 students at PH and approximately 300 students at Fleming. Now that depends on with our vendor that we go with for the modulars themselves, because they have different variations. We also have to be cost conscious about this, because we don't want to get into having some excessive safety requirements the bigger or the more extravagant these get. So we want, they're trailers. So we have to treat them like that. And so we've got to be cost conscious, because we do have a limited budget if approved. So.
Sorry, I was wondering if I had heard something on the sides. Additionally, can you remind me, what is the lifetime of a trailer?
Well, the best option for us to go with a lease, we think we want it to be 5 to 7 years, but we think they can last 10 years if we, good maintenance and good upkeep.
As a consumable item, basically?
Yes, it is, which will depreciate very quickly.
And then you already answered about the timeline therein. So now, and I do believe you had the details. Did you have the details about the number of trailers and such in a prior presentation? I believe I would have referenced it if I knew it off the top of my head.
I did. I provided that to the board in a memorandum through the superintendent.
Okay, great. Were there any further questions?
Sorry, I have one more.
Yes.
Sorry, this is for Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, you said that their agenda should be posted by Thursday, right?
Correct. That's the normal schedule.
Does that mean that we have one day to reach out to tonight and maybe midday tomorrow to reach out to our council buddies to press upon them to add it to the agenda? Or does it mean we've missed this window for this meeting?
Items can always be added, subject to city approval.
Right.
Sooner is always better than later.
Okay. I'm not the chair, but I'm going to encourage us.
We might have more information to share on this a bit later in the meeting, so.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, and, but let's
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have, in a later report, we'll share more information on that will be relevant to that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And I believe that closes out our conversation at this time about the trailers and the two high schools. But I think it still is your floor, Mr. Perkins.
All right, thank you. My daughter tells me that when you're old, you're cold. I actually feel 20 years younger. It's hot the way the heat's working. Might have just been the list of questions you just gave.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, let's move to the boundary review. As you recall, in a previous meeting, we eliminated two options to be fiscally responsible. We clearly cannot build 3 elementary schools. We clearly can't build 2. So we are trying to look at addressing our elementary and feeder patterns to our high schools by balancing the average daily membership and to look at our programming to make sure that we can provide the proper programming for the students at their particular school to avoid having to bus them to other schools. So with your permission, we have started that process. We kicked that off on October the 15th. As a reminder on why this is a viable option for us, you have one, a school board policy, JC, which is a board regulation. It gives you guidance as a board, and it gives the operations team guidance on how to address and go forward with this. We want to rebalance division resources. We want some equitable distribution of staff and services. As an example, our itinerant staff. We do have teachers that share schools. And so we'll be able to provide programming, and by rebalancing, we may be able to get everybody into a single school and provide that that way. So we want to be considerate of that. We want to maximize the efficient use of our school building capacity. The board has a recommended percentage of capacity that we want to do. As an example, Plato or a third high school, we would want to make sure we're not overcrowded and we have good efficient use of those facilities. We want to, excuse me, balance the enrollment across schools. That's part of our classroom reduction initiatives. We have the opportunity to get classroom sizes down to enhance education and the rigor in the classroom. We want to improve our transportation efficiencies. I think we all know what that means. We've talked about that to ad nauseum. And we want
Want to send buses through Schaefer's Crossing?
yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on. We're on time.
I was like, now you're really going to make him sweat.
We want to optimize student programming. Operation Nest is the beginning of that. We've had some good success trying to keep students in their attendance zone at their school and offer the programming to support them to be with their friends in their neighborhoods. And then, of course, we want good, strong feeder patterns to serve our high schools. And right now, if you look, we have half of a middle school going to Fleming and half of a middle school going to PH. And that's a strange situation. So you get kids that live in the same neighborhood across the street from each other going to different high schools. So we need to address those things. And that's why it's good to look at the boundaries and the programming through this review. To refresh your memory, we've laid out a 3 to 5 year plan, and I say 3 to 5 year because it really depends on how much, I mean, this is an emotional topic. I've said it, I'm going to say it again. So we need to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. So we have an initiating event that we need to address, and that is Preston Park. We have promised Monterey to give them relief. They've got large classroom sizes. They don't have any preschool. They need preschool, and they need services of our gifted and special education department as well. So we've got to relieve some of that. We need to get our schools on the north side under 700 students. That's ridiculous, having an elementary school over 700, and we have 2. And we want to get away from that. And so we really need to balance that north side and look at those large elementary schools. And so that's really the first phase that we want with Preston Park coming online, and the good news that we think we can bring them in on time. So the second phase is the study results. If you remember, we identified 3 schools through our spectrum study, Hurt Park, which is in the most need, Lincoln Terrace and Fairview. We need to address that, and we need to address that in a way that while the school bones are good, but we need to do a little rehab on those schools, but we also need to get those schools down to proper size and programming that fits with how those schools are laid out. And we're thinking from 27 to 29 year to address those. And then last is the south side of our town, that 3 to 5 year span. And I want to point out here, Crystal Springs already over capacity. Highland Park has extremely small classrooms. That school is over 100 years, if you were kind of, trying to count up in your mind. Virginia Heights has part of its wing that's over 100 years. So we've got some really old schools out there. Wasina's getting close to 100 years. So we really need to address that. So we've laid it out. There was a rumor that started, so I want to just make sure I address this now. We are not closing schools.
No, we are not.
Tell everybody, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, they are not closing schools. Huff Lane, Raleigh Court, and others were enough for us many years ago. And I was actually at the police department at that time, so that tells you. So, and it affected us. So we're not closing schools. So here is your timeline review. Now, we did meet with our expert facilitator today. They were very optimistic that they can hit this timeline. So we are looking at, there's 2 timelines here for you. The site selection for a 3rd high school in the event that we can do that. They're working on that. We are also working on geocoding, demographics, and boundary review for elementary schools to create good feeder patterns into our high schools through our middle schools. We kicked it off on the 15th with your approval on October the 14th. We are going to review projections. We got a meeting with our data and analysis group at the Oasis and our IT group on Thursday. We're going to provide the data to our expert facilitator. They're going to create the interactive mapping and the recommendations. We plan on bringing those initial recommendations in January and with a final recommendation, and we'll be working through the next slide that I'll show you, a boundary review steering committee before we take that on the road to at least 4 community engagement activities in all 4 quadrants of our city. So with that timeline, this is the committee that we want to bring to you. Thank you, Ms. Trigg and Mr. Link, for your work on this committee. This is a very robust and diverse. We represent multiple schools. We represent multiple stakeholders, parents, students, school-based staff, REA, principals, assistant principals, special education, transportation, preschool, and division leadership. This team will not have a lot to do initially, but once we get the initial recommendations in January through February, we want to bounce it off this team that can give us some good direction with our facilitator, and then we can take a good product and good recommendations on the road for our community engagements in the 4 quadrants of our city. We'll also work with the marketing and communications team to set up an email specifically for a feedback repository to where we can get feedback not only from meetings like this when we bring this up, but also feedback from our community engagement sessions. We are going to talk about this every time you see me. And Ms. Quintana, it'll be more than 7 to 10 minutes.
Listen, you only had a pass for last week that it was your birthday.
So with that, I'll take any questions on the boundaries review.
All right. I'll start with our student representatives. Do either of you have any questions or items of note? Okay, Ms. Quintana.
Thank you for all this that you're doing, and I really do not look forward to this because I know it's gonna get sticky. But I appreciate you doing this.
Oh, I've gotten used to delivering bad news, outsource services, outsource services, all that. So.
Mr. Link.
No further questions. Thank you.
Dr. Jameson.
May I see the list of our committee again? What I'm wondering about, excellent all, so this is not a, at one time, there was the proposal of including people on the committee who might provide insight into the role of economic development and our schools.
So we anticipate working with the city through our expert or facilitator, and they will conduct meetings with GIS, economic development, and planning.
Okay, so that'll be running in parallel?
Yes.
How will those, do we know how that information, I see that as critical as we try to build these kinds of new relationships. I would ask, maybe it's not so much as how is it, but I would ask that we're really clear about how those lines of communication co-inform that process, so the committee doesn't feel both like they're being undercut by economic development concerns, and economic development feels like they were for show anyway, only. I mean, I think there's an authentic interest in both of those. I think that's genuine. I just would.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think Mark Nelson and his team would want to participate fully. We anticipate engaging them at the same level we would engage the community, along with our city planning department and our GIS department at the city.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Watkins?
When we had other steering committees, I feel like we had business leaders on those committees too.
So the superintendent has a business advisory committee that we will be sharing out at those meetings through, I think, Rotec and Daytech. We have that. So we'll be sharing. The superintendent has several committees that we'll be working through.
Okay.
The teacher advisory committee, the student advisory committee, the business advisory committee. We also have access to Region 6, so we can bounce things off and things like that. So.
Okay. Dr. Jamieson?
I have one more quick question for this committee. Will we be approving a charge for this committee? I mean, I know we're approving a committee, but are we going to be approving a charge for this committee?
So the charge for the committee is to, when the expert facilitator brings the recommendations, the charge for the committee is we need to bounce off things. They've got to kind of vet it and start thinking about, from their perspectives, which is why it's a very diverse and robust committee, their perspective on what questions they have. That gives us a better presentation. We hit the communities and we hit the city departments and we hit the other committees that the superintendent has. So the charge is they need to vet, and question. They're like the 10th man. They've got to say, 9 people agree with it. We need somebody to say, whoa, hold on.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we have a framework for this committee to work with.
Right.
So, again, this is not necessarily an idea kind of gathering group. Instead, this is more of a critical eye, right? And so that we believe that perspectives matter, and as the facilitator then presents the frameworks that are before the committee, then the committee can say, this will work, this option will work, this option may not work, right? And all of the reasons why. So I think it's really important for us to have these perspectives heard and understood by all, so that as we're bringing forward the options for your review and approval, then you know that those perspectives have been considered. So the charge really is for them to have that framework to look at, have the options before them, and to make the recommendations to, not only to me, but to the school board.
Yeah, I would, and as you well know, Dr. White, this is, and perhaps it's just a reminder, these questions are not coming from concern out of this, but this is our second time.
Yeah, and the co-inform.
And I am thinking about some of the lessons learned from the way we started this previously, and clarity for everybody's role, so they understand both their role and their value, and their place in this process is critical, as we learned relatively quickly last time.
We did. We learned a great deal, I think, from the last go-around, and that is, again, that one, this is a superintendent's committee. that we're kind of working with the operations and the operations, departments and operations, so that we can then provide a recommendation to the board for your governance approval and oversight. And before, where it was all kind of mixed together, school board was trying to operate and then also approve, where we really need you to be that approving body and the governing body that we learned from all the various attorneys that we were involved with the first go around, with making sure that we had kind of clear legal guidance and having that kind of separation of duties, so that we have clarity in the process, we have clarity about the charge, and then we have an approving body that will hold us accountable for what we've set out to do.
To that end, just so, again, sorry, but I'm just remembering.
Yes, yes.
So this will, if I'm recalling correctly, it is the school board's responsibility for identifying boundaries, but we delegate that responsibility then to the superintendent and her team. Does that mean technically this is a school board committee that we are commending to the responsibility of the superintendent? I just remember there were such legal strictures around that as we refer to this. I want to be sure that we start on clear starting ground.
I don't know if Dr. Siebert, I can see you looking around the.
Yes.
Madam Chair, Dr. White, members, so this is a topic that Mr. Collins and I worked on extensively with the board over years, and it was because the board had an abundance of school board committees, and because there was an abundance of school board committees, well-intentioned to do lots of things, but they fell under the structure of a school board committee, which has different meeting requirements. So they have to be in-person meetings. You can only have virtual meetings in between in-person meetings, and there's a whole host of things required of that are understandable and appropriate. Whereas if you think about the operational side of things versus the governance side of things, superintendent committees are still available and transparent, but not because they're not school board committees, they operate a little differently. So, Mr. Collins, if I misspoke on any of the many regulations we worked on a few years ago, I'm happy to defer to you.
No, I recall that, Dr. Siebert. I think you've summarized it correctly.
And to be clear, I have absolutely no problem making this a superintendent committee. This is not an objection to that. We learned quite abruptly at a conference we were all at that this particular responsibility is completely and totally owned by a school board. And so it's really in the language of this particular one that I want to make sure we're starting out on as solid ground as we possibly can, so we don't look at each other again in a moment and go, oh, wait.
Right.
So
we're good?
If I may, I would just elaborate. I think you touched on an important thing earlier about, you were talking about the communication between economic development and this committee and those things, yes. And that's where I think having two board members on the committee will help ensure that you have that communication and engagement and perspective, while also everybody kind of staying in their lane, so that the work can be done. There can be very, to do this work well, you have to brainstorm ideas that will never make it to the list, but people have the brains, they have to ideate. And so that process then before it comes to you, and again, keeping it, that committee structure will be probably more flexible in terms of meeting.
Thank you for that clarification. And Ms. Trigg, any questions or comments?
Have any questions or comments?
Thank you. And I do want to note that I saw on the timeline that it looked like mid-February was the goal for recommendation from this committee to come before the board.
Well, recommendation before we go to the community, and then once we get community engagement, we will bring the final recommendation to the board.
That's for mid-February?
Well, no, mid-February is the steering committee and excuse me?
I'm going to go back in the
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
So mid-February is to bring a recommendation from the steering committee and the expert facilitators, and I think we'll be very pleased with this group. They've got extensive experience compared to the last group that we had. They're going to vet it, run it, and then we'll be ready to go on the road. So March, we're looking at the community engagement. The repository comes back. We then vet and make sure that we've looked at everything. Is there anything else we need to do before we bring you the recommendation? And we're under a timeline here, and what I didn't put on this timeline is, we need to start informing parents of, if there's changes that you approve, no later than May. That way they can be prepared. My child may not go to Monterey, for example. They may go to Preston Park because we've got to free up some space. So that is the intent that we have. But we really want you to have the benefit of the community engagement before we bring you a final piece, because I think that's critical for you to know what the community says and for you to see in the repository, we will summarize that for you as well. So, but February, we hope to bring something that's going to the community. That's really the deadline that this group has.
Okay. And as you noted, this will be a standing item on future school board meeting agendas, and the school board reports out monthly from our committees, and we have 2 members on this committee, so we have backstops to make sure that this is reported out on for the community on a monthly basis. And I also want to note that there is already, there are already plans for a feedback mechanism, namely that an email earmarked for feedback with respect to this topic. We did that during transportation, and I do remember reading, I think, hundreds of responses, and also with the naming committee, reading through many, many responses. So there's going to be a commitment, as usual, by this division and by this administration to transparency and communication. So thank you for that.
That is in keeping with our practice, whether or not it was about COVID, safety, transportation, cell phones, the list goes, naming.
Food service.
What's that?
Food service, nurses.
Yeah.
Those are all my departments.
Yeah.
Someone's the troublemaker.
Oh, your hair looks amazing.
My beard turned gray.
So regardless of the topic of the day, I have to say that we are proud of the fact that we have been committed to transparency. I want to thank the school board for your commitment to transparency. Again, regardless of the topic, we believe that perspectives matter and that voices are important. And so we want to make sure that our parents, students, community members, teachers, staff members have a voice in our processes, because the schools belong to all of us. And so it's important that all of us have an opportunity to weigh in. So I want to thank Mr. Perkins and his team for working with our facilitator to make sure that we're setting things up in a way that's consistent with our practice. Consistency matters, and the way that we've gone about things has helped us to make progress in our division and on all of these topics that I've named. And this will be no exception. We'll bring everyone into the fold, including our business partners, including our other advisory councils, our teachers, our students as well. And we have 2 students on this board who are part of my student advisory council. And so they are a witness to the fact that we do bring those topics to them as well. Our students are amazing, and they add wonderful perspectives as well. So we'll keep that consistency going. And again, even though we might have some robust conversations, we will bring that final recommendation to you based on community feedback.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. White. It's time for the financial forecast. Ms. Jackson, could you please present the financial forecast for us?
Sure. Thank you very much. Good evening, Madam Chair, Mrs. Apel, members of the board, Superintendent White. We do have for you our monthly update on the financial picture for the school division. This is reporting through the month of September. So I'll jump right in. And for the first quarter, we are continuing to track very close to budget on the revenue side, and the general fund just forecast to be just over $500,000 above budget based on our experience for the first 3 months of the year. When we look at the expenditure side, we are continuing to track favorably, forecast to be about $4 million below budget based on that first quarter experience, were we to end the year. based on continuation of the level of experience that we've had in that first quarter when we compare against that 3-year average of past years. So we look at that compared to the general fund appropriation for the current year of $275 million. So were we to end the year based on continuation of that level of experience we've had in the first quarter, we would be forecast to end the year with about $6.8 million below that appropriation level. And just a reminder, we've kind of changed how we reflect this because we used to talk in terms of fund balance, but we are no longer authorized to maintain that fund balance at year end. So that's why we talk about appropriations now. So I'll move on to the food service fund. And on the revenue side, forecast to be about $196,000 above budget when we compare against that 3-year average. You may remember this is kind of a flip-flop from last month when we were a bit under on the revenue side and a bit over on the expenditure side. So I'll jump ahead and you'll see that the same thing is true on the expenditure side. We're forecast to be about $170,000 below budget on the expenditure side. So that's not uncommon, for us this time of year. Sometimes we have some timing differences, but as you can see, that caught up in this month. So we're back on track in a positive light there. So we do talk about fund balance on the food services fund because that is federal funds that are required to be used only for federal food student nutrition programs. So we have the appropriation first that was $13.5 million. So were we to end the year based on our first quarter, we would be about $600,000 below that. And we did budget to use about $730,000 out of our fund balance in the food services fund for that program. So based on our first quarter experience, were that to continue to the end of the year, that use of fund balance would be reduced to about $360,000 for the year. So certainly a favorable start for the first quarter. And the last fund that we look at is our capital fund. We did have just under $18 million appropriated for use for various capital projects, of which just under $10 million was utilized in the last fiscal year. Very small amount, close to $100,000 spent so far this year. So we've got just over $8 million of that appropriation remaining in that fund. And that is what I have for you this evening, but I'll be happy to take any questions.
Ms. Trigg or Mr. Wade, any questions or comments from Ms. Jackson?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lopez Ortiz or Ms. Quintana? Thank you.
No, just like always, thank you. Thank you, because I know it's a difficult time.
Mr. Link or Dr. Jameson?
No comments, thank you.
I have questions. Given the new model, financial model that does not involve a fund balance, at what point do we anticipate that we will start encumbering or reappropriating funds that we think might reasonably be unspent by the end of the year? Normally, we would have just put them into fund balance, and of course, we want to put them to good use. When can we maybe start seeing the redistribution of that anticipated lapse, for lack of a better word?
That's a very good question. I don't have a firm date for you, but certainly as we get into the spring, kind of round the corner, maybe end of third quarter, we'll certainly be wanting to look more carefully at where we are and what things are coming up and what we're anticipating before year end so that we can be prepared to make sure.
Because you won't have anything else to do at the end of the third quarter. That's fine.
I mean, that's the timing. So you're absolutely right that I think that's the time that we need to start really scrutinizing to make sure that we, have our ducks in a row before the end of the year.
And just to be clear on the capital expense slide, that $8.07 million, that is what we are asking to go in an appropriation to fund, no?
It's actually not, and I'm sorry that's a little confusing because they happen to both be $8 million-ish dollars. But that is the remaining amount of what was already appropriated at the end of last fiscal year for the projects that currently exist in our capital improvement plan.
Understood.
But what we are discussing is there was an additional $8 million-ish, a little over $8 million in that fund, correct. So that remaining amount, we're asking.
You're exactly right. That's what threw me.
Yes, that was a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now
Thank
you
you
don't
very
have to
much. I
answer my
appreciate it.
question. That was it.
That was it, Ms.
That was
Watkins?
my question.
And yes, I had the same questions, both about what is what is the work under the designated but unspent appropriations for this year? Is that all Preston Park for the most part, like in the 8 million that is designated for this year, or we just don't have that outlined? That's just something I'd like to see where we are.
I'll make sure I have that for next month's report if that's acceptable.
Yes.
I don't want to guess off the top of my head. Yes, absolutely, Preston Park is part of that, but there are other projects included as well. So I'll make sure I have that for next time if that's all right.
Yes. And then Dr. Jameson had also specifically noted about, right now, our projection, it's only as of the end of September. So that we'd be projected to have 6.8 million in appropriation, in what was appropriated this year, but potentially, unspent. And so we just had this evening, some dollars behind some capital maintenance and improvement that Mr. Perkins presented. And I know Dr. Jameson has requested this in the past already regarding this new structure on how we deal with our monies over a fiscal year, but the short list or even the long list, because clearly we know that the list of capital maintenance and improvement items already outpaces the 5 million in debt service we are getting from the city anyway, but it seems that that's something that we want to keep in mind. And I also had the question of when we can start to pull the trigger. When are we close enough to the end of the year? Because we're not allowed to overspend. But when are we allowed to safely pull the trigger on some of the things that we know that are 100-year-old plus buildings need? So.
Well, and I would just say, I think when I was thinking about this list, I was recalling a time when I had a budget as a state manager, and along about January, we always asked for prioritized needs of funds that we could spend within 60 days, 30 to 60 days, should there be year-end monies available. I'm wondering if we need to start thinking about that process now. So not just, no offense, not just immediately to maintenance, but certainly that would be on the list, right? But these are the, just to be clear, that would apply to schools and, that would be my imagination.
Got it. So that would be, for example, something that would be a new addition to an agenda at a future school board meeting under our new structure of how we deal with our finances, probably.
I mean, that probably actually wouldn't be for us necessarily. It'd probably be a superintendent decision and us being, no, because it's already money we've approved, right? They move money all the time around in a budget, but being kept apprised of how that is going would be
certainly
beneficial.
The only exception to that might be if it's a significant diversion from the budget you approved, the money is there, but if
It
we're
left an education fund and went to
we need to
maintenance,
use it
we
in
would want to
a
know
different
that
way,
as
we
the
would
budget.
certainly bring that to you, yes.
Right.
Okay, and I also had wanted, I know there is talk of Title I funds decreasing. I'd just be curious to know, what monies what programs we spend Title I monies on, and if any, what the logistics are of using, if there is any year-end monies on something for a Title I, like a program that was previously covered by Title I. That was just one that I know that we're also very concerned about because that's one of our larger federal sources of revenue, so.
Certainly a valid concern. Unfortunately, I think a large part of our Title I money goes to ongoing costs, reading specialists, support services, that kind of thing that, kind of one-time year-end money wouldn't necessarily be available for that kind of thing. But absolutely, I think we need to look at all of those and evaluate that.
And the reality is, again, we know that the talks right now, again, nothing is set in stone when it comes to whether or not we're talking about the president's proposal or the House proposal or even the Senate proposal for education funding. The talks right now are for a reduction in funding, particularly at the federal level, a reduction in K-12 spending or funding, I should say. And so, again, we're hoping that that won't be the case. Mrs. Apel, you talked about Title I. I believe, Mrs. Jackson, right now they're talking about a potential for a 27% cut. to Title I again. And this Title I is really intended to serve our economically disadvantaged students. And so in various ways. And so we're talking about academic performance, as Mrs. Jackson said, reading programs, and people to support those programs and to support the teaching and learning of those programs, after-school programs, those kinds of things. So again, we would have to look to then how would that impact our operating budget to make sure that our students are still covered and that that teaching and learning still continues. But that is a great question because as a school board, we'll have to kind of reprioritize in that way should that become a reality.
Okay, yeah, I just want us to keep, one-time monies, we try to use them as investments, but I also want us to keep in mind, it could be that there might be a program that we think is worth the money to keep around for one more year. If there's something that we know we're gonna lose that we've had as a longstanding program. So just trying to be as prepared, to be as nimble as possible when it comes to finances.
Well, and
Seems to be
that's, I mean, and that's absolutely, and I would say thank you for that, because again, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing based on what we've set out to do, particularly in our strategic plan, to make sure that we're keeping our students at the center of all of these decisions and proposals. I do think it's important to keep in mind where we had a little more flexibility prior to when the school board had the fund balance. So for instance, this year, I think it's important for everyone to remember that we charged a lot of those ongoing kinds of expenses, which we don't typically do, but we had to do that and present that to you as a school board for your consideration for this school year based on level funding from the city for this year. And so again, we will not have that flexibility in the years moving forward because that no longer exists, which is why we're talking about appropriation versus fund balance. So I just want to bring that to everybody's attention, and so that we can remember moving forward, we really will need to your point, Mrs. Apel, reprioritize in that way and keep in mind what's happening at the federal, state, and local levels.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jackson. So back to you. Let's look at the financial statements, Ms. Jackson. Is there anything unusual to report this month?
I don't have anything specific to point out to you other than that every quarter we add a little bit of information to that and have a procurement report that just gives you a little more detail about a request for proposals, state contracts, that sort of thing. So I just sort of commend that to you, but I'm certainly happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any questions from the board? I do want to note, as we talk about finances a lot, that's a recurring theme, past, present, and future, and that there's a lot of information. It's very dense, but there's a lot of information in these financial reports, including, the line item reports, the expenditures categorical report. You can see where our money goes, what the big buckets are, and, it's instruction and personnel, but we also know that our expenses are aligned with our strategic plan. And so I just want to make sure that all of our stakeholders know. If you want to know what our CPS spends its money on, it's there for you to comb through every month, and you can go through the procurements quarterly. So thank you, and those financial statements will be received and filed.
Thank you.
Okay. On to committee reports and ongoing business. So first, we have the appointment of members for the 2025-2026 Division Safety Advisory Committee. Is there a motion and a second to approve the list of individuals for the 2025-2026 Division Safety Advisory Committee?
Moved. Second.
Moved by Dr. Jamison, seconded by Ms. Trigg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And the motion carries. The 2025-2026 Division of Safety Advisory Committee is approved. Next, we have the approval of the Virginia School Boards Association Policy Services Agreement. Is there a motion and a second to approve the Virginia School Boards Association Policy Services Agreement for the period December 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2026?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trigg, and was that seconded by Ms. Quintana?
Yep.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. And the motion carries. The VSBA Policy Services Agreement is approved. On to reports from committees. So first, I am going to report out from the joint City Council School Board Finance Task Force. This group met for the third time just yesterday. Ms. Jackson, Dr. White, Dr. Jameson, and myself, we continue in our efforts as members of that task force to have a voice in negotiating a sustainable solution regarding the revenue sharing agreement or funding policy with the city of Roanoke that meets the needs of RCPS in the context of the city's financial landscape. So with that, Dr. Jameson, you have some further details to report out, please.
Yes, just again, we met yesterday. The language you'll start to hear, I believe, is that we're discussing a terms sheet. What will be the terms of the policy? We discussed yesterday what may be their final draft terms. That was the discussion. I think at this point, what we can say is that we know that the structure will be less than 40%. And there will be a change in structure and the percent will be lower than 40%. We do not have the details on that. Stay tuned, as we all know from before, that these policies can be approved in one council meeting. So we will be watching quite closely the agendas as it comes up. We are expecting a final draft prior to something happening. That is what we discussed yesterday. There is currently a plan to meet throughout the year. I would share that we have been discussing counter proposals and as well as impact analysis that was provided, that was discussed by us in terms of what might happen under various funding scenarios, and discuss other kinds of alternatives. I would also share that the full council, has not yet discussed the proposal as it stands. So this is something else we've been encouraged to share and discuss with our council buddies. So we'll be talking more about that. Our next meeting is December 10th on this task force. Regarding the appropriation, this is unrelated to the purposes of the task force, but what we did learn, Mrs. Jackson asked in the meeting yesterday about the appropriation, and we learned at that time that it was pulled because there was some detail that additional detail they wanted, with which Mrs. Jackson is providing. It's a tight timeline, but that's where we left that particular, I believe it's fair to say that's where we left that particular topic. At this time, that's really all we know. Yeah, and that's the status, I think, of our ongoing meetings.
Thank you, Dr. Jameson. All right. Other report outs from committees, I will go down the list. Audit, which is also Dr. Jameson and myself. That is rescheduled because, as Ms. Jackson mentioned, I believe, at a previous meeting, our audit is slightly delayed while we finalize the different structures with regards to our finances for fiscal year 24-25. So that meeting has not taken place yet. Then budget and capital expense, Mr. Cherry and Mr. Link, did that committee meet? Okay, and actually, and then I was going to make sure to note Ms. Trigg and Mr. Link are members of the boundary committee. Got it. CTE committee, anything to report out from that?
Yes,
Okay. Ms. Watkins, do you have that?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. I have it. Thank you for the time. We met on October 22nd. It was a really good meeting. There was a really good turnout for our meeting. We received lots of information from Kathy Duncan. There were several handouts that we received. Just a couple of things to note. There was discussion on pausing subcommittees due to upcoming leadership changes. Kathy is retiring, and we are upset about that. We are extremely upset about that. We want her to enjoy retirement while she
Later.
still has all of this energy. However, she needs to clone herself. I specifically am hoping that she's going to be in on the interviewing or selection process for her successor. Anyway, future meetings are scheduled for February 18th and May 13th. The extravaganza is scheduled for May 21st, 2026 at Daytech. Scholarship applications will be released in January. At the last extravaganza, you guys, listen, over $103,000 was awarded, has been awarded in scholarships to date from these extravaganzas. So just awesome. $1 million endowment has been received from Davis H. Elliott Electrical to support Virginia Western and Roanoke City Public Schools. And we talked around, what if there were any parameters around how the money is to be used and, how much, for allocated to, Western or, and RCPS. And that information we didn't have on the spot at our meeting. But this is awesome. When you think about some of the trades that are going to be critical that AI can't replace, right? And going forward in the future, electrical is one thing that I feel like you're going to have to put your hands on, right? To ensure that folks are not going to get electrocuted, right?
So don't put your hands on it.
Right. So this, just turn off power first. But, but the thing is, I mean, to think that, a company in our own, a town wants to protect the future of not only in the industry, but move forward our community in offering support for economic advancement through our students, and to help our students come out of school with a career, already. I think that's truly amazing. We've received updates on work-based learning, internships, school-based enterprises, plans for student-led initiatives and community engagement. I was particularly excited to hear about plans for a parent financial literacy day and a student reality check event to teach budgeting and financial planning. I think it's going to be so cool. I learned that there was an activity, I think that was happening, that's going to happen again, where, you're giving the students a life with a particular budget, and you see what they do with it, what they think they can do with it, and how they're going to stretch all this money, right? It's fascinating, and anytime we can help our parents with financial literacy, that just changes the game for the health and wealth, financial wealth, for the future of the family, and teaching the students going forward how to manage money. They reviewed the completion data, graduation rates, and performance metrics. I don't have those in front of me, but they were fantastic. I mean, just in my head, I remember, I don't have the numbers, but just I think, Mr. Freeman, was it 100% for McKinney-Vento students? I don't know if he's still here, but it was the McKinney-Vento students really stood out in the performance metrics and the graduation rate. So it was fantastic. There were some changes coming to the CNA program hours, but it was to manage, program effectiveness, and just updates on partnerships and funding. It was a fantastic meeting. There's always a lot of really good information, And I want to say again, thank you to our community partners. It's not just school staff and me in these meetings. And administration, there are literally business partners in these meetings, and we're talking about, ways to help our students and help our community. So it's a great partnership. I enjoy being on this committee, all of them, but this one is near and dear to my heart, especially because it supports the McKinney-Vento students too.
Thank you very much, Ms. Watkins. School safety and audit and discipline, Ms. Quintana, have you all met since last month? Yeah, I think so too.
Yes, I think.
We didn't meet.
Oh, no. You haven't met since a few minutes ago.
Since like maybe
Never
15 minutes
know.
ago? Nope.
I mean, our
nope,
calendars
not at
do
all.
change pretty quickly sometimes.
Right.
And then school board member development, we keep that to our workshops during some of our workshop work.
Can I say one thing about that? Just, I will say one thing about that is that Joyce and I are about to, we are actually on school board development. A number of us are going to a conference next week with our superintendent. Mr. Collins, are you coming this year?
Indeed, I am.
And Mr. Collins Esquire will be joining us on our trip, and that is always a wonderful developmental opportunity. It's where we learn so many important things, as well as being able to chat informally together. So that is ongoing. Ms. Watkins and I are going to spend a lot of time in a car together, which is always fun, and
Again.
we will be working on some strategies for ongoing work for this particular committee.
That's
So that's what I want to add.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jameson. Policy, governance, and legislative priorities, Ms. Trigg.
Right. Chair Apel and I are members of the City Council Legislative Committee, which met on November 3rd, 2025. At that meeting, the City Legislative Committee voted to incorporate the board's 2026 legislative priorities into the City Council legislative package. As you are aware, the board's legislative priorities have already been communicated to our legislators, and we look forward to hosting them at the board's annual Take Your Legislator to School Month event at 9:30 a.m. in the William Fleming High School Library on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. As always, board members with policy and legislative priority ideas are welcome to encourage to share them with the committee at any time.
Thank you, Ms. Trigg. The regional board, the RVGS regional board, Dr. Jameson.
Yes, and actually, that's one more. I would also, by the way, I'd also add that our clerks, are both of you going this year? Are also going, which, to VSBA next week. So it's a nice event. So they have their own conference. So we did meet, we met on October 6th. And we actually went over a number of items. We set out our calendar for the year, as well as reviewed the state diversity report. It's actually now called the 2025 Academic Year Governor's School Report, formerly the State Diversity Report, which basically gives us a status update on their ongoing goals to have the division mirror, each division mirror the diversity of eligible students coming from each locale. And includes a 5-year look back. We also, this year, there is the 6-year review for the Gov School. Every 6 years, the Gov School receive evaluations by the VDOE that involves interviews by stakeholders, et cetera. This was our year to do that. So those interviews just happened last week. Mr. Levy, it really leads a good meeting and is quite impressive on all this. He also serves as the chair for committees as he goes around and actually has been the lead on some of these evaluations for other Gov schools. And he actually seemed really excited to be evaluated by this. So he really is enthusiastic about getting.
He's very proud.
He's very proud about getting some feedback. I almost thought he was encouraging us to give us bad feedback. Say something mean. I don't know. But I mean, he really does a fine job over there. So that just happened. We went over the financial report. Nothing really unusual to report there. They continue to be in good shape. He feels this year in his director's report that the RVGS, the start of school is really one of the most instructionally strong openings of the Gov School that he feels like they've had in a while. They remain right at 272 students. Last year was 271. This is the number they predict staying at. There isn't any kind of, there's not a projected growth there based on what we're talking about. If you haven't been in a while, there's only so many places to put people over there too. So they found this to be a sustainable budget number as well. So that's all of the piece. The informational meetings for recruitment of new students will begin in January. The districts are strongly encouraged to use a quote invitation to apply recruitment method versus just kind of a cattle call, putting it out there. They really do want to invite people to apply, to appeal to as broad an applicant pool as possible. We have Project Forum. Their annual big event is Saturday, January 31st. If you have never been to Project Forum, it is quite an event. I mean, it is the science fair of science fairs. When you go to that, it is remarkable what these young people are talking about. If you need some hope, go see what they're able to do at something like that. It's unbelievable. And they're also beautiful, so it's really something to behold. I think looking over our next meeting is going to be Monday, February 2nd. And that it ends my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jameson. And for the Student Representatives Committee, Mr. Wade or Mr. Lopez Ortiz, do either of you have a report out at this time? No? Okay. Great. And then, and as noted with VSBA, we have Ms. Watkins is our delegate and Mr. Cherry is our alternate at the VSBA conference coming up next week. And as far as superintendent committees goes, curriculum and instruction, any reports out from that committee? Mr. Link or Ms. Trigg? And are there any others that I'm missing? I know technology did not meet. Any other report outs from committees, from the superintendent's committees? Okay, instead of me reading them all out. But we did have a lot of reports
Dr.
out
Siebert,
this
we
time.
still have a lot of committees.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Okay. All right. Is there something else we need to report out about?
I covered.
Oh, we do have,
I'm gonna read it.
okay, yes, please do, before we move on.
The Division Curriculum Committee met on October 15th, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. The meeting opened with introductions, followed by key updates and accountability, instructional improvement, and school support structures. Dr. Jay Schultz provided an accountability overview highlighting current performance measures and data tracking progress. Dr. Williams and Mr. Freeman shared updates on learning walks, emphasizing the values of classroom observations to strengthen instructional practices. Dr. Wimbush and Mr. Freeman presented the evolving school support structure for instructional teams, focusing on the alignment among instructional leadership teams, professional learning communities, and grade-level department teams. Curriculum updates were presented by Dr. Durham, including the rollout of the Image Learning K-5 reading series, 5 Ponds Press K4, history materials, and math space for grades 6 through 8. Dr. Williams introduced the VLP tracker and monitoring for K through 8 student reading plans, while Dr. Poland shared updates on attendance supports, the work of the student support specialists, and early childhood readiness initiatives. The committee also confirmed the 2025-2026 meeting schedule and identified 2 follow-up actions. 1, distribute the learning walk schedule to board members, and 2, revisit elementary recess time discussions at our future meeting.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trigg. All right. So that is it for committee reports. For ongoing business, is there any ongoing business to share at this time? I will know, it was already noted by the superintendent, but we have 2 football games later this week. Additionally, winter concert season is coming, for everyone, I believe. So Lots of performances, I think,
Winter
will
is
be
coming.
coming. Huh?
Winter is
That's
coming.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
There was snow yesterday, so. On to our VSBA Take Your Legislator to School event. Just a reminder that that event will be held, as noted, November 25th. That's right before Thanksgiving break at 9:30 a.m. in the William Fleming High School Library. We have a number of local representatives confirmed to be in attendance. And then for future business, we have several reminders for upcoming months. The Teacher of the Year dinner, which I'm so sad to miss, is next week on Tuesday. Also, the VSBA Fall Convention, which Dr. Jameson already noted, is next week. Other events, we've already mentioned. You've got your date for Breakfast with Santa there. We already have winter break on here if you wanted to start looking for when that will be. But something also of note is that we will have 2 of our school board meetings are flipping from PH to Fleming. So that will be noted where we notice all of our meetings, so people will be aware of that change. Oh, and I had also meant to recognize, I believe we have a team presenting at VSBA next week, correct? So I wanted to make sure, I think for community builders, I believe. So
Community
I wanted to
builders,
make sure
correct.
to note that for public consumption. So with that said, any other future business? Okay, we have a closed meeting tonight. Do we have a motion for the closed meeting?
I move that the school board convene in a closed meeting to discuss or consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.2-3711A3 Code of Virginia.
Is there a second for the closed meeting?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Watkins, seconded by Mr. Link. Is there any discussion? Ms. Tresky, please call the roll.
Mr. Link,
Yes.
Dr. Jamison,
Yes.
Ms. Quintana,
Yes.
Ms. Trigg,
Yes.
Mrs. Watkins.
Yes.
Mrs. Apel.
Yes. The board will now enter into a closed session to discuss only items within the approved motion. No other board business or discussions or decisions will be conducted during this session.